Welcome back in, everybody, here to the Postgame Pod at Auburn Undercover. Nathan King, joined by Patrick Bingham here inside of Neville Arena, where on a quick turnaround on Tuesday night, it was maybe a bit of a hangover performance, regardless of however you would describe it for Auburn coming off of that loss to Alabama on Saturday. It was a disappointing one. It was a frustrating one here at home as Auburn falls to Vanderbilt 84-76. This is the first time in a decade that Auburn basketball has lost on its home floor to Vanderbilt.
They say 26 is the new 2016. It was 17. Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's all right. Well, we'll just scratch that one in post. You have to go all the way back to when I was a freshman at Auburn, the last time that this team lost to Vanderbilt. But this is a much different Vanderbilt team, much different Vanderbilt program. This Vanderbilt team is in the top 15 analytically. In a lot of metrics. This was no doubt a quad one game for Auburn. This is not a big upset or anything like that. Vanderbilt came into this game ranked while Auburn was not. Vanderbilt had a bigger record. All of those things, though, Patrick, that I just said, make this a little bit more painful for Auburn, and that's what Stephen Pearl talked about after the game, because you had a couple games here on your home floor. It already hurts to lose on your home floor, but when you feel like you could get a couple games for your resume and a couple wins that would really help you out here in SEC play and you don't get them, it's all the more painful. And a couple different types of losses. Alabama was the defense, and I don't know about you from your vantage point down on the floor, but really Auburn's offense for most of the game, I know they ended up with 76 points, but they just looked like a shell of themselves for a lot of this game.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that stood out to me, especially because it was my end of the floor the first half, the offense, was just the layups. That was kind of the biggest stat to me. Was I forget, but it was like 11 of 20 something.
Yeah, 11 of 27 to end the game. 1 of 10 in the first half at the rim.
That was it. Yes, I remember that tweet from you. And it was just they could get nothing going in the paint. And that's like the big thing for this team is driving down and either making that layup or getting a foul. And I thought it was a good game plan by Vanderbilt of like, we're going to take the paint away and dare you to try to make threes. And we made a couple, but it wasn't like anything more than they've really been doing. And that combined with Keyshawn Hall just not making a lot of shots just really caused a problem for Auburn today.
Yeah, even before Keyshawn Hall was essentially, I say benched, there's a lot more nuance with it than that.
Yes. With
about 12 minutes left. Even before that, he was 3 of 13 from the floor, 0 of 8 from 2-point range because he was 3 of 5 from deep. But yeah, in the first half, as Patrick mentioned, Auburn kept attacking the lane, and Steve Pearl said after the game, he's like, maybe we should have gotten some more calls here and there, and he said that frustration sort of boiled over. Yeah. Vanderbilt ends up leading by as many as 15 in the second half. Auburn has a rally down the stretch. They go from shooting really, really poorly to having some opportunities down the stretch. I thought Todd Pettiford did a really good job of sort of speeding up the pace of the game and sort of dictating things in the second half. But they had an opportunity. They got it down to 4. Could have gotten it down to 2 with another stop. And Tyler Tanner, who was phenomenal for Vanderbilt, makes a big 3 there at the end. There was some back and forth toward the end of the game, but really it was a matter of just Vanderbilt just made their free throws. It was an elongated game.
They went, off the top of my head, 20 for 23. I think one guy missed 2, and I think there was one other miss in the second half.
Yeah, they were 26 of 30 from the line. For the game, Tyler Tanner himself, who had 25.6 assists, was 9 of 10 from the foul line in the last 3 minutes of the game. So it's pretty good stuff from him. But let's talk about the Keyshawn Hall thing, because there's a couple like individual moments in this game that people are wanting to touch on. Keyshawn Hall gets a technical foul, which we'll talk about a little later, because Stephen Pearl had some things to say about Auburn's emotions over the past couple games, but Keyshawn Hall gets a technical foul, and 2 minutes later, he actually hits a 3 after that. But 2 minutes later, he's benched and doesn't come back for the rest of the game. But as I wouldn't say I've been getting in Twitter arguments with anybody, but as I sort of pointed out on social media a while ago, somebody said, what a terrible decision by Stephen or whatever. Well, Auburn outscored Vanderbilt the rest of the game. Yeah. And Keyshawn Hall was a team low minus 12 for the game, which that's just plus minus. When he was on the floor, Auburn was outscored by 12 over the course of the game. It proved to be the right decision, Patrick, as we're still in this situation where you're trying to weigh what Stephen Pearl talked about after the Alabama game, which is your better players have to defend. Keyshawn Hall was just getting toasted on defense in this game, and it ended up being a better lineup down the stretch to try to get back in the game without him.
And that's just the consistent thing with Steven all year is he will take you out. It's like it's not like you can't even test the waters because he's proven time and time again. Like even for it was like one possession towards the end of the Alabama game. He got mad at it. Might have been after that 3 that Aiden hit. He took Tahad right out. And it was just like he did it again, I guess, with Keyshawn over a longer period of the game. But again, it's like even if you wanted to argue, like, yes, Keyshawn's one of your better scorers, maybe he could have made a couple more baskets in the very end. If you get it from the teens all the way to a 4-point deficit, like it's kind of hard to argue against who was on the floor in that moment. But at the end of the day, it's just you're missing shots. I mean, I think the biggest thing is he said he wanted to go with the players who gave him the best chance to win, but then he was like, our offense was just not in sync, and I think the plus-minus stat points
that
to
is the thing. That's a good point by you. That's the other thing to point out is going all the way back to the first half, Stephen Pearl said, when Keyshawn Hall was in the game, their offense just wasn't in sync, and it was really, they picked things up. They did a better job in the second half. Todd Pettiford being aggressive was a big part of that. The other thing that happened with the officiating was, and I thought I said it during the game that this is the one where Stephen Pearl was going to blow, and he really didn't that much.
No, he didn't even. There's been several games actually, where he's hit the video board so like the little thing on the sideline so hard that the whole panel's gone out. But we didn't have any no pixels were lost.
No, and he maintains that. So I thought he was gonna crash out when, I don't know if you saw it, but Pat Adams gave him the hand.
Yes, I saw the
I was
hand.
like, that is not going to go over very well at all. And I had some people on social media, and I thought it was a decent point. They were like, Auburn was just trudging through like an 11-point deficit at that point, and people were like, maybe he should get thrown out, get some energy back in the team. He ends up getting a technical foul, and I promise I'm going somewhere with this, but Steve Pearl said after the game that Pat Adams told him that he cussed at him. And the interesting part of that is, Stephen Pearl said, I didn't cuss. And that's one man's word against somebody else. But we saw SEC Inside here at practice yesterday. Stephen Pearl was actually
here for several games,
Stephen Pearl was actually mic'd up tonight. So, there will be hard evidence whether he cussed at Pat Adams. But
we need the clip.
I said that to say, it's been a bit of a factor here in the past couple games. And Stephen Pearl said, look, we've let our emotions get the better of us. In this game, I can think of now 5 instances over the last 2 games because you had 2 flagrant fouls against Alabama. Philip Jovic was called for a hook and hold in this game.
There's been several hook and holds recently.
I thought Jovic was going to. I thought clearly he was going to get a technical foul. I don't know if you saw him run back up the floor.
I do remember this.
And touch his arm where he got hit right in Pat Adams' face. I'm like, he's going down, but he didn't get a tech. And then Keyshawn Hall and Stephen Pearl both get a tech in this game. So 5 free opportunities for the opponents. And off the top of my head, Patrick, I cannot rack those up point-wise, but against Alabama, they were both 4-point possessions, I know.
Yes.
And lots of free opportunities for Vanderbilt in this game. And so really and I'll kind of wrap it up here, between that and between what you were just talking about with the Keyshawn Hall thing, this is continually a case of a team that clearly has pieces, clearly has things they can succeed with, clearly has done good things this season. Look no further than a 4-game winning streak and beating Florida, but it's the parts that are inconsistent, when those start to swirl, is this team bottom half of the SEC? I think they are. They've shown that they have the ability to play that low of a level, and so really it's just with this new look group. Still, we're here approaching mid-February, trying to get all the pieces together, trying to get guys to play consistently game by game.
And that's the thing is not to compare everything to last year because that's not fair to this team. But last year, if 1 or 2 players are off, you had enough around them where it was fine. You could go through slumps, or Tahad could go through a few games, or whoever could go through a few games, and you were ultimately fine because you had all the other pieces. And in this team, you're just not really built like that because you're not the best team Auburn's ever had. And so, again, for as much as we've seen when it's on, and they can go win at Florida, you also see the downside of it in these last few games, which makes the next month so interesting. And, of course, it's kind of the ultimate, I guess, flip it positive side hope for Auburn of you get into the tournament. If you get the good side, maybe you could do something good.
Sure. And segueing there with what you just said, Patrick, getting into the tournament.
Yes.
Lots of discussion tonight by people about, what does this mean for Auburn's tournament outlook. Again, I think the biggest thing I will stress is that this is not the home Vanderbilt loss that I watched when I was a freshman at Auburn 10 years ago.
Yes.
This team will probably be, they were 14th in the net heading into tonight. They'll probably be 12th or 13th tomorrow. It's a really good team. This loss is not resume crushing by any means. If you're Auburn moving forward, now you're 5-6 in the league. You've helped yourself with some good quad one wins. You have a decent resume there. You have to continue to avoid the bad losses. So you look at games like Mississippi State on the road next week. That's what the game is, by the way. We're talking about this, not Oklahoma.
Oh, yeah,
they go to Mississippi State next Wednesday. Like
Ole Miss at home. You need to
Ole
win.
Miss at home. LSU
Oklahoma,
at home.
who just beat this Vanderbilt team.
It's tough to put yourself in a situation where you're just saying. And I think that's the biggest thing is that you don't need to put yourself in the situation where you're saying Auburn has no chance against better teams on their schedule, because we know that's just not true. Like, they go to Arkansas on Saturday. I know it's going to be really tough, a revenge game. No, it's going to be a rematch game on the road against a team you already beat. But, like, Auburn went on the road and beat Florida.
But that's the thing is, I'm
like,
we're all like, oh, there's no way they're going to go win in Bud Walton after what they did to them earlier, X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, I said there was no way they were winning at Florida.
Exactly. And so really just, from here on out for this Auburn team now sitting at, 7 SEC games remaining, I think getting to an even record or a winning record in the SEC would be really big. But as of right now, Patrick, and we can only go game by game. And as of right now, this is a tournament team. Like,
and Steven's only going game by game. I forget.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, and that's it. It's like it's everything's so tight, and really there is no top leader. So you win a few games, that really sways where you are in the standings, and the next one's the most important one.
True. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Auburn's going to try to give itself an opportunity against Arkansas, another big challenge on the road. If they lose that game, you've all of a sudden flipped a 4-game winning streak into a 4-game losing streak. It currently sits at 3 games. A couple stats for you. This is the first time they've lost back-to-back home games since the COVID year. If you would like to exclude that because Auburn did not have a capacity crowd and say, when was the last time they lost back-to-back home games in front of a building, a full building? Again, have to go all the way back to my freshman year. They lost to Florida and they lost to Arkansas at home in back-to-back games. And so, I mean, Auburn obviously doesn't like any of those, would like to get back on track. And as Stephen Pearl said, this was a, quote, disappointing performance. I think that's kind of the best way to sum it up. So Auburn falls to Vanderbilt tonight in Neville Arena. They'll be back in action at Bud Walton on Saturday. For Patrick Bingham, I'm Nathan King. Thank you guys so much for joining us here on the Postgame Pod. Head over to auburnundercover.com for coverage of the team throughout the week and some assistant coach interviews and stories from the football side of things. So head over there. We'll have all that for you guys. We'll talk to y'all soon.